Let's talk about the drug use.
Oh my
Because
God.
The addiction.
Are you sure you want to talk about that?
You say in the book, but the reality is everything. My drug addiction, the incoming money, and the demand for the situation continued to escalate at an astounding pace. So did the fame and the celebrity exacerbate the drug use?
100%. It was like gasoline on a fire.
Really?
You know, I was already a young and wild, careless kid. And once you gave that kid millions of dollars and Ferraris and Lambos and girls screaming, you know, my name and yes men everywhere, it was hard to turn that off.
Or you recall in the book that you spent over $500,000 on drugs.
Damn.
Well, yeah, when you think of that number, when you hear that number, what does that make you feel?
I gotta just be accountable and be like, yeah, that happened. That I did spend about $500,000 on cocaine and oxycodone. You know, I had everything on me at all times, you know, in my Louis Vuitton bag, everything from, you know, a couple hundred Rockettes, which are 30 milligram oxycodones. Then I'd have probably 150 Percocets on me, which are 10 milligram oxycodones. Then I would have probably 100 Xanax on me, 100 Valium. And if I wasn't traveling on a plane, maybe I would have some weed and cocaine as well. Life was going by so quickly that at the time, I made a mistake and I thought it was going to help my performance or my stamina. And for a little bit, I have to say that it did for a little bit.
Yeah.
But eventually, I became a dependent and I became addicted on these substances. And on shows like Dancing with the Stars and the talk shows, I was always high.
Yeah.
I was always high.
Mike actually struggled with addiction before his MTV days, but things escalated during Jersey Shore from 2009 to 2012. The Sitch worked hard to hide his battle from production. The most challenging part, season 4.
The one in Italy was very risky because you're traveling cross country, and I smuggled in a couple hundred Roxys in a shoe, in an Altoid case that I disassembled the shoe, and then I put that shoe in a suitcase full of 20 other shoes to disguise it. And once I got past TSA, and then obviously I had to go against the MTV and production security and protocols. Once they got to the bag in question, I said, oh, I need to put those shoes on. So I took them out of the equation.
The ones that had the painkillers.
The ones that had about 500 in there, yeah. And eventually, like I said, I misjudged my dependency every time. I would tell myself, oh, we're only gonna take 2 today, we're only gonna take 2. I would always take 6. And eventually I ran out, and then you guys saw in Italy when I ran my head into a wall, I was going through withdrawal at the time because I had ran out of pills.
Well, MTV gave you an ultimatum.
Oh, they did?
Leading up to season 6. How was that presented?
I kind of was happy when they gave it to me.
Why?
Because I was running amok for years.
You were exhausted.
And I was exhausted, and I was surprised that I was able to push it that far.
The GTL cast wasn't always making the big bucks that Mike blew on drugs. He claims in Reality Check, making the best of the situation, that he spearheaded a Friends-type move and fought for them to get a major pay raise after season 1.
The whole cast was in New York City, and we were just on a high from Jersey Shore and the ratings of the first season. And we were all in a room, and I guess the MTV lawyers or that representation handed out contracts, and the contracts were the same from the year before. And our contract from the year before was a couple $1,000s for the season, for the whole season. And I just knew something wasn't right. And I knew that we had created a TV show that was groundbreaking. It was new, it was fresh. They said, sign on the dotted line or we're gonna replace you. And in that moment in my life, I felt like I knew my worth. And I took the chance and I said, go ahead and try to replace me, and I walked out the room. Next thing you know, it a couple weeks later, we got like $1 million raise.
That is stupid money.
It is very stupid money, and coming from a kid that probably didn't have to file taxes the year before because he didn't make the money. So if you read the first page in the book, where I'm sitting on my family's couch and it's Christmas, and I had just made about $5 million, and my brother, who was my manager at the time, he comes over to me and he says, you had an amazing year. you made about $5 million, it's time to file. And I'm sitting on the couch, I'm swiping, I'm basking in my famousness. I got a Ferrari outside. And then he goes, or maybe you can get him next year. And I thought to myself, we'll get him next year. And that one decision on the couch, high, right? A couple years later, about 3, somebody would come knocking at the door, and that person would be Uncle Sam, and he wanted his money.
In 2014, Mike was charged with tax fraud. Nearly 3.5 years later, he pled guilty and was sentenced to 8 months in prison, plus probation and community service. Yes. But while waiting for his day in court, Mike confesses in his tell-all, out December 19th, that he struggled financially.
A sex tape under lock and key in your office as an insurance policy in case you needed it when times got tough and you needed money.
I was down on my luck. I was trying to stop the bleeding. I had to literally tell my mother. I had to tell my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And I said, listen, I have to do this. And once we started to go down that journey of selling said sex tape, I realized it wasn't worth it.
Ultimately, the video wasn't released.
No, it wasn't.
The act of desperation was just after his 3rd time in rehab. The next year, the reality star hit rock bottom.
How many times have you been to rehab? 4?
It was 4, yes. It was, 4. When I finally got to rehab in 2015, that was definitely my low. My lowest was like a day or so before that, when I did something I never thought I was gonna do.
Which was?
Well, I ended up trying a drug that I never thought I would try, a drug that kills most people.
What was that drug?
It was heroin.
Did you realize things had gotten that low for him?
Things were pretty bad. In that moment, our relationship was basically
hanging on by a thread,
dissipated, and he needed extreme help. But I didn't know to the level of what he was using.
Why do you think the last time stuck for you? What was it about the last experience in rehab?
The last time, I really had no options. I was depressed. My anxiety was at an all-time high. I had lost all the millions. I had lost all my dream cars. I pretty much had lost my dream of becoming who I thought I wanted to be. I fell behind on my rent and I was about to be evicted. When I finally got to rehab that time, I said, you know what, man, I know the odds are against me. The odds are against most people, but I really got to try this time.
Now, almost 8 years sober, the soon-to-be dad of 3 is living his dream with his college sweetheart, Lauren, in New Jersey. They rekindled their romance in 2013, and she stood by Mike's side through his road to recovery and legal troubles.
You know what? He's always been a really charismatic guy.
Yeah.
And a very social person. He's always talked to everyone. Always.
Never met a stranger.
And he's always been a good guy at heart, and that's really the guy that I had fought for. But now, of course, he's evolved into an amazing man and father.
Hey,
You're on Entertainment Tonight.
you are. Your journey is triumphant. The comeback is here. It's happening. What is the best part of sobriety?
Oh, God, you're going to make me cry. Every day when my family, my wife, and my kids, we have a group hug, and the smiles that I see, it's all worth it. All the pain, all the struggle, all the sacrifice, it's all worth it.
What are you going to tell the kids in regards to Papa's addiction, and especially now that it's in a book?
I mean, listen, Dad is a G. Dad is a legend. Dad is a warrior, and I think they're going to be inspired by the man that I am and the life that I've led. All right, guys.